Hey guys, it's Frank again. This will be my last post about this ReadyLift. I probably have 4 of them or 5 on my page. Working on it again today. I bought some limiting straps to put on the front end. What's going on here is the day I installed the lift, it took me like 6 or 7 hours just to do the front. Once I got everything done, I started just checking things out, and what I noticed was, I'm going to take you over to the truck. Notice that on the front suspension, when it was at full droop, which means, if you go on a off-camber situation or something like that and your tires are turning, your CV boots would come in contact with the bottom A-arm, literally laying on the bottom A-arm, and also on the shock. You can see right now mine's still slightly contacting it, even after putting on these limiting straps. I guess I could have made it a little bit tighter, but right now I only have about 2 3/4 drop in the front suspension before it's at full droop with these. Before that it was a lot heavier, and of course the contact was hard. This is at full turn, or almost full turn. It comes into another situation. See these marks? You can see some marks up here on the upper control arm. Well, what I've learned, and you can see right here on the spring, there's a rub. What I just learned again today was this is how good of a job, and that's being facetious, this is how incomplete ReadyLift was on their engineering and verification on this lift before they produced it and sent it out to us at a heavy cost of $750. When you turn your wheel and it's not even at full cock, the spindle that holds your upper control arm actually comes in contact with the spring. So not only do you have rubbing of your boot, CV boot, the spindle, it's really the top piece of the spindle, the handle up here that grabs a hold of the UCA that they supply, is apparently a little bit too short. Therefore, when it drops down, and you're at a turn, it comes in contact. I was wondering why, when I was trying to turn my wheel, I couldn't get it to go all the way to hit the stops. On the other side, you can see where it's not quite at stops. And then I pushed it a little bit harder, and I heard gong. I was like, well, what the hell is that? So I did, of course, did a little bit of looking, and now I find that, sure enough, there it is. That's another interference, something that you would probably never have guessed that a company with, I guess, the reputation that ReadyLift has been pushing would have failed to look into. This is a stock truck, 1500 round, 2016. This is the Eco Diesel, so it's all stock, and I installed everything just the way that they were, shown in the paperwork. Crushed down the springs, put the top hat on, and then up inside where the bolts are, you can see the bolts that they supply. Put the upper piece on. So the only way I could maybe remedy this a little bit is I'd had to take that spacer off the top. That would probably be the least headache, but it's still going to be a pretty big headache. And then, of course, I'd have to spend another $130 to get the front end aligned again and all that stuff because of what ReadyLift has told me. They went through and said you need to make sure you get a proper alignment, meet the specs that they have on their sheet, yada yada. And I did all that, and at this point, any emails I send them, they ignore it. They don't even reply back. They won't take acknowledgement that they had misrepresented this. I have been told this is not an off-road kit, that I am supposed to do standard normal driving and should not leave the asphalt with this kit, which is great because I've got 35 tires over there and new rims and everything I bought to put on this thing, and I'm not supposed to actually take it off-road. And as mentioned in earlier videos, there's plenty of off camber, like pulling into driveways and stuff. I'm actually kind of gritting my teeth going, I hope I'm not eating up my CV boots, because you can feel the back end twist and the front end twist. So you got tire on the left side is dropping down and the tire on the right's taking all the pressure. So that's why I went ahead and put these $75 $75 straps. So, and I also went through and put some new shocks on the back. I know a lot of guys out there trying to figure out where to get shocks. These are a hair bit longer. They had one version that was a step down. These listens, they went right on though. They're a bolt right on. They have 11.5 inches of travel. I just gotta jack it up and make sure that the lines in the back clear fine. But I just put those on today too. They're about 4 inches longer in full suspension than the stock. But if you do try this kit, you're going to find that when you go to put your shocks back into place and the axle sitting on the ground, that you only now have 1 inch, maybe 1.25 inches of down travel, because your shocks are too short. They did not list that. They said everything's fine, just use your regular shocks. But when you start driving it, and if you have some areas like I do, that there's a couple of bridges and stuff in the retirement communities I go through that are like 35 miles an hour, but when you hit those bridges and the back end hops up, it gets a little kind of violent of a yank, because your suspension is nailed at top drop. Plus, if you ever do go a little bit off-roading, you're not going to have any down travel. You're going to lose, you get a little dig down, you're going to lose traction immediately. We have beaches in New Smyrna and Daytona and all that stuff here. Well, I hope this helps somebody. I don't really have anything really better to say. I wish I wouldn't have bought this kit. If you're going to do a lift on one of these trucks, especially, I mean, if it's a 4-wheel drive, that's probably your main situation. 2-wheel drive, I would say, you're probably good to go. But if I was in the know, I would have never bought this kit, and I probably never would have thought to go 4 inches. But since this was a professional 4-inch kit, I assumed that everything was taken into consideration, and they would not sell us something that's going to damage our trucks. Of course, they say how they have a warranty and they'll take care of things if it damages stuff. When I asked the guy about it, once again, the guy replied back, this is not an off-road kit. It's not designed for taking anywhere that you would have full droop of your suspension, and if you did come up with damage from anything along those lines, or they suspect it, then they would not help. And of course, like I said, they, at this point, after sending them videos about how my suspension is hitting, and after my, they told me to go get an alignment and that it probably wouldn't happen anymore, and I did that, and I never even got a reply back. So I guess their idea is ignore it, it'll go away, and hopefully the masses will not see this video. So happy trails. I do love the truck, and I wish differently, but I'm going to keep the suspension on there. I'm just going to do some grinding on a couple of areas that won't cause fatigue or anything in the front suspension. And since I do not go off-road often, I think I'll be fine. But we have our times that we want to go on a dirt road or out somewhere. It's just not happy trails when you put a ReadyLift. All right,